listening to the Real Elevation podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hendricks, and here we discuss topics on personal fitness, well-being, and elevation of mind and body. Join us as we help build and grow a community of real, elevated men and women. If you're currently feeling frustrated, flat, and fed up with life, or want to be a physically and mentally elevated individual, you're invited to join us each and every week here on the Real Elevation podcast. Welcome to the RE family and get ready to elevate your mind and body. Welcome to the Real Elevation podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hendricks, and today we have another outstanding, informative, and elevating show for you. I'd like to welcome all first-time listeners to the podcast, and be sure to stay to the end of the show, where I'll be sharing all my social media links, where you can connect with me and the Real Elevation podcast community as we continue to spread our message and continue on our journey of helping people find freedom through fitness. How are you? Wonderful to have you back with me again. Another wonderful show for you. You're going to really enjoy this one. So, we're talking about shortcuts. And why do you think it is that we, as humans, are addicted to shortcuts? So let's be honest. As humans, we love them, don't we? Every opportunity we can do something quickly, we'll do it. And it's kind of baked into our DNA and into our human psyche. If you think back thousands of years ago, how we evolved, the person who found the fastest route to water or fastest route to food and the way to prepare food or eat food, that person was more likely to survive. So we quickly understood that efficiency helped us. Now, if you fast forward to today, and that same drive for that efficiency has turned us into craving maniacs for instant results. So it can be seen as a negative in many regards. But what doesn't help is that we're bombarded with headlines, especially in the health and fitness space, such as lose 10 pounds in a week, eat this one food to melt away body fat overnight, or take this particular pill, which is an interesting topic at the moment, and never diet again. And you've seen the increase in use of certain supports, shall we say, or supplements that people are using. Let me know if you'd like me to do a podcast about those. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But all that instantaneous quick fixes just got us focused on getting it done by yesterday, get it done instantaneously. Yeah, there are so many out there. I'm sure you can relate to them. And for a while, I bought into this concept. I'm not saying I was immune to it as well, because if you look back over the years, some of the things I was promoting were falling into this trap as well. And even myself, I even tried them personally. I tried the juice cleanses, the 5-day fasts that promised this magic fix, those super shakes or magic powders. Some, if I'm being honest, gave me temporary results, but they never really lasted the way I really thought they would or really wanted to. And as I got into my mid-40s, I realized that the way my body was responding to these air quotes quick fixes, the way I was thinking my body would bounce back, it didn't happen so quickly. And I realized a truth, and the truth is that quick fixes rarely work for longevity. So if you're looking to prolong your life, live a healthy, vital life, quick fixes aren't really the key. And as we age, they cost us. That's the harsh truth that I've learned. They cost us in muscle, they cost us in bone density, having the correct hormone balance, and even in many cases, mental well-being. So that's the downside of quick fixes, guys. So today I'm giving you 3 simple science-backed steps that I switched to in my 40s, 45 and older, that actually work for long-term health. So we're talking about today, quit the quick fixes. Why I quit fad diets at 45, and here are 3 simple steps that actually work for longevity. So that's quit the quick fixes. Why I quit fad diets at the age of 45, And here are 3 simple steps that actually work for longevity. So let's jump on right in. Step number 1, eat for muscle loss, not just weight loss. And what I mean by this is that most diets, if you think about them, the concept is they focus on getting you smaller, shrinking you if you like. But what I've learned, especially with the programs that I've built, and you've seen this, the programs that I share with you, my approach is now shifting to building the body, not shrinking the body. Now we know, the science tells us, from the age around about 40 onwards, 45, we are naturally at more risk to losing muscle mass. Depending on which literature you read, which studies you follow, some would say anything between 3 and 8% per decade. So what does that mean? So the less muscle mass you and I have, that impacts on things such as our metabolism, we can get weaker joints, and we are higher risk to things such as falls and injuries. So quick fix diets, what they do is often speed up and accelerate this process. That's because they are mainly focused on slashing or cutting calories and the amount of protein that you and I intake. So what do we need to do? We need to focus on 3 main things when it comes to eating for muscle and not just weight loss. We want to be building ourselves up. One of the things that we talk about in the Core Build Accelerator System program is how we can build up a strong foundation in our body. Also, a strong foundation in our mind. We're not shrinking or diminishing or depleting. We want to be building ourselves up. So action step number 1 when it comes to eating for muscle is aim for protein at every meal. Looking to be eating between 1.2 and 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. What I'll do is I'll leave a little calculator in the description so you can access it and work it out in terms of, ideally, for your age, your gender, or your weight, what sort of protein you should be looking to intake on a regular basis. You've heard me talk about this before in previous episodes, that protein is our building blocks, and when synthesized correctly, that's what the body uses to grow our skin, to grow our bones, to grow our hair, to keep us strong and energized and help us with our metabolism. So we want to be making sure that we're eating protein with every meal. Secondly, choose whole, minimally processed foods. Again, something you've heard me talk about many times before. Stay away from that refined, highly processed foods. Think of natural foods that are rich in protein, like eggs, like lentils, like good poultry meats, seafood meats like salmon, and even things such as good quality yogurts, nuts and leafy greens. Eating those on a regular basis will help you build strong body, build muscle. And stop obsessing over the scales. This is something that we've obviously been conditioned to do. And for many people, they see their success in what the scale says. Now I want you to start thinking about viewing and seeing your success and your progress intrinsically instead of externally. Yep. So think about, how do you feel? How do I feel in terms of my energy levels? How are my levels of vitality feeling? How do I feel in terms of my ability to concentrate and do particular tasks? Stop relying solely on the scale. Now I get it. If your objective is to lose weight and get the weight down, the scale can be a useful tool, but don't overly rely on that. Don't use that solely as your success. So that's step number 1. Eat for muscle, not just for weight loss. Number 2, make movement non-negotiable. Now, you know I'm big on this. If you're not into looking after yourself and you don't like to move your body, this is probably something that you don't want to hear, but it's a non-negotiable. Yeah. For years, I'm talking about my personal experience now, I used to do these really intense workouts, doing some sort of challenge, going through a period of time where I'm working my body really, really hard, and then I'd stop. So my fitness ability, although it had a good baseline, it was like a yo-yo. When I was working really hard and training really hard and intensely, it would be up there at the top, but then I'd stop for a long period of time and then it would drop. So we know, and the science supports this as well, that our bodies are adaptive machines. They are designed to adapt. And if you don't get into the habit of moving regularly, you lose your fitness in as little a period as 14 days. So those short bursts of like all in, like I would do a high intensity workouts for a period of time, followed by a period of doing nothing, they're not really building up a body for resilience and for longevity. So you want to be thinking about making movement something that you do daily, and it doesn't have to be overly intense. And this is something, again, I speak to my clients about, making movement your medicine, but it doesn't mean that you need to be doing the latest CrossFit program or Hyrox or whatever the in thing is at the moment. Aim for, as one of the action steps, 20 to 40 minutes of movement daily. Now, there's two types of workout that you can be thinking about doing. And again, we'll spoke about this in previous episodes, working in and then working out. So when we're working out, we're working maybe a little bit more intensely, and we have a more catabolic effect on the body in terms of it's actually expending energy. But when we're working in, we want to be thinking about doing more restorative, regenerative, replenishing type exercises. So if you think of it in a simple term, something more intense, like going for a high intensity workout, that could be seen as a workout, but a work-in workout, if that makes sense, would be something like doing something like Pilates or Tai Chi or Qigong, something that's going to help re-energize the body. So you're still working out, but not to the same intensity. So regardless, getting the blend is key, but daily movement is the focus here. Can we do something on a daily basis that our body is going to benefit from? So we're investing in our health consistently, whether it's a workout or work in. Can we do that on a daily basis or as often as physically possible or feasibly possible? If you're busy, break it down into 10-minute chunks. I was having this very same conversation today with someone who I'm working with, talking about don't worry about doing 45 minutes, hour-long workouts. You haven't got the time for that. In amongst running a business, in amongst having meetings, in amongst traveling up and down the country, coming back home, dealing with the family issues, the kids, the wife, you haven't got time to be dedicated doing hour-long workouts. So what I'm asking this client to do is 90 minutes a week. Yep, that's right, you heard correctly. 90 minutes a week. So 3 30-minute workouts or 4 20-minute workouts. Most of us, if not all of us, if we checked our screen time on our phones, the amount of time we spend scrolling just mindlessly, doom scrolling, I think the term is, if we check the amount of time we did that, most of us could find 90 minutes a week to invest in our health and our well-being. So breaking it down, chunking it down into 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes is going to help us to keep that movement done on a daily basis. And as I said, number 3, in terms of action steps that you can do when it comes to making movement non-negotiable, is focus on consistency. Doing something every day beats smashing yourself up twice a week. Trust me, I've been there, I've done it. It's not the way forward, especially if you wanted to have a long life which is full of vitality, energy, and strong and healthy. So consistency is key. That's the secret sauce. Doing some small movement every day, your body's going to absolutely love that. So make sure movement is non-negotiable and you're doing something consistently every day. And step number 3, manage recovery like it's your job. So you've heard me talk about before the importance of R&R, rest and recuperation, rest and rejuvenation. And we all know it firsthand, don't we? So if I'm speaking to you, you're in your 40s, 45, 50s and older, you know when you used to go out at 25, you can bounce back from a bad night's sleep or a heavy night out. But at 45, it's not quite the same thing. Yep. So we need to make sure that we are being deliberate when it comes to our recovery, because we can't do the same things to the same intensity as we did 15, 20, 25 years ago. So recovery isn't a nice to have, it's a must. So we need to be doing this deliberately and on purposely, just like it's our job. Yep, the science has said that sleep and stress management directly impact our hormones. Hormones we're talking about such as testosterone and cortisol, which are 2 very, very important hormones. And also growth hormone. That's another important hormone as well. And these three are all very important when it comes to managing our weight and managing our energy levels. Especially if we want to burn off any unwanted fat, we need to make sure the balance of those hormones are key and are optimal as best as possible. So, stress in your body, poor recovery, your body's constantly in that survival mode where you're on the go all the time, so you're stressing the sympathetic nervous system. It makes achieving our goal for fat loss, for example, and making sure that our concentration levels are optimal, it makes it a lot harder. And we know that being in that state all the time, where we're stressed in that survival mode, it accelerates aging. And we're trying to do the opposite here, aren't we? We're trying to aid ourselves when it comes to aging well and having a good quality aging process, increasing the quality and longevity of our life. So action step number 2 when it comes to managing your recovery like it's your job is prioritizing your sleep. So looking to get 7 to 9 hours of quality deep sleep every night. Now again, I'll leave the link in the description of which episode we spoke about when it comes to sleep and rest and recovery, so you can check that out if you've not listened to it before. But 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. Number 2, build recovery into your training program. So I mentioned about working out and working in. So on your working in days, maybe you could incorporate some stretching and some mobility exercises, or even doing some things like walking, getting out in nature. I'm a big fan of that. Or some meditative practices or mindfulness practices that you could do, so you're recovering deliberately. You're being very purposeful, just like you brush your teeth, just like you brush your hair. You're doing this as part of your wellness program, your weekly wellness program. And number 3, limit stimulants late in the day. So again, drinking coffee after 3 o'clock can be very detrimental in terms of the interrupting or disrupting your quality of sleep. Stimulants after that time as well, excess sugar, processed refined food after that time can all disrupt our sleep. So we need to be mindful of that and limit the amount of stimulants that we have later in the day. So that's step number 3 when it comes to being deliberate and managing recovery like it's your job. So remember what we're talking about on today's podcast. We are quitting, or my advice to you is to quit the quick fixes. Why I quit the fad diets at 45, and these are 3 simple steps that actually work for longevity. So here's what it boils down to. Stop chasing that magic bullet, that silver bullet. I know it's hard because we're constantly told that's what we need to do. At 45 and over, your body needs sustainable, nourishing habits. So that's what I'm encouraging you to seek out here, or at least consider here today. So number 1 step is eat for muscle growth. So you age with strength, you age with confidence, you age with consistency and confidence when you are eating for muscle. So we talked about making sure protein is readily available in each and every meal. Move on a daily basis. So when you're in a habit of moving, your body never really forgets how to move because it's become part of who you are. I used that example earlier about, you don't think about brushing your teeth, you don't think about brushing your hair, you just something that you do naturally without really thinking about it. You never think of, I'm going to brush my teeth now. You just do it naturally in the morning and before you go to bed. That's something you naturally do. And we want movement to become a similar sort of thing, similar sort of habit that it just fits seamlessly into your working day, your working week. And recover fully so you can keep going for decades. So we're being deliberate when it comes to our sleep and restful time throughout the day. Sleeping, making it a priority, making sure we're mindful that we're incorporating some sort of restorative or regenerative exercise in our weekly practice. But again, it doesn't have to be anything major. Could be getting up in the morning, doing some stretching and some mobility exercise, whatever works for you in your working week. And that's why I endorse and encourage you to follow these 3 steps. Eat for muscle, move daily, and recover fully. That's why I quit those fads diet, not because I lost faith in any kind of discipline, because I gained faith in my future self. That was I was thinking about. How does the future Mike want to feel and look like? Because these quick fix, these silver bullets, these magic pills I'm seeking, they never work, and they're not working for me now in my 50s. So I'm inviting you to consider this as well. Quick fixes might give you, a fast change, but they're not encouraging the right kind of habits for long-lasting changes. So that's what we want to do. Create habits just like you brush your teeth, just like you comb your hair, just like you do all these other things I could mention that you don't really think about. That's what we want to do to make sure and invest and reduce your risk of having troubles as you age, issues as you age, because your body is strong, vital, and health. So, if you are ready to ditch the cycle of the on-off diet and finally build a body that looks good, is resilient, that is strong, which is vital, which is healthy, and it feels good, body that you can be proud of, and we know that you can trust as you get older, I want to invite you to check out my Core Build Accelerate System, which is a short 60-day program designed to help you build a strong, lean, pain-free body. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes where you can fill out the application form and check that out. It's a proven system for over 45s to get themselves lean, strong, and pain-free without extreme workouts or restrictive diets. If that sounds like something that you'd like to get involved in, so I'll leave a link below. You can fill out the application. We'll arrange a time to talk, and we'll talk about you and where we can get you started on your pain-free, rejuvenated, core build, strong body journey. Okay, so I hope and I'm confident and I trust you found today's episode insightful and elevating. Remember to share this with your circle of influence and your connections so we can continue to spread and grow the message, what we're doing here on the Real Elevation podcast, helping people find freedom through fitness. So remember, be well, be wise, be cool, be calm, and keep it right here, keep it real. Until next time, blessings and chi, peace.